But we're going to start transitioning into the session with the Onero leaders. And I really wanted to, I was really, we were speaking with the team before the summit, and I really wanted to kind of give all the team members an opportunity to share what their Onero experience has been like. I mean, Andrew and I as the founders have our own experience going through the path, but it's different for people who have come into the org at different times and have been doing very specific various things within the organization as it's been growing. So I'm very excited for this panel, but partially because I just love all these people and they do phenomenal work, but also because they have some really intriguing experiences to share, and every experience within Onero is unique. So I hope you'll stick around to hear from them. We'll be getting into that very shortly. So I think that I would encourage you all, those of you who are already on the call, who are going to be on that panel, not only to speak about what your part of the organization does, but perhaps to open with a little bit of what your experience in Onero has been so far and how it's been for you and what your biggest takeaways have been. So before we get into the actual meat of the discussion and talk about that, I'll invite all of you who are on that panel, you know who you are, to turn on your cameras, and should let you unmute. And we'll go around quickly and just share what you do for the organization and what your experience, what your main takeaway has been so far being on the leadership team and how that has been for you. So I guess why don't we start with Deven? I see you're popping up first on my screen here. So yeah, happy to have you take it away, Deven.
Cool. So everybody, my name is Deven. I'm a rising senior at Williams College along with Andrew. And I joined the Onero Institute at the start of around January of this year. And so my job is I work with the Delta newsletter, and we release a weekly newsletter, basically recapping the week's events and what happened in various regions around the world. And it's like me along with a team of 8 or 9 people who help collaborate who help aggregate the news from various news sources and then make it easy to read. And I found it really enjoyable to become part of the Onero Institute. It's been really nice, once meeting other students, both from Williams and from other colleges as well, GW, Michigan, and other places in general, to see like what types of things are people interested in foreign affairs. Not just like I'm interested in studying IR, but like what in particular are they interested in? Where are they going to go in depth for their research? And it's also been really nice just being able to talk to various people from other schools every week, and like get in touch with them and just like build a network for myself, build a network with people who are interested in foreign affairs in general, and like have a shared goal of like having spreading like the goals of IR, studying IR, and like having the world become more informed as a group. So it's been really nice to work with them in that regard.
Thank you so much, Deven. We really appreciate all you've done with the Delta over the past, I think it's been like 7 months now or 6 months, even more than that maybe. It's been a long time you've been in the Delta already, and you've been doing a phenomenal job. I strongly recommend everyone in the audience to sign up for the Delta if you don't receive it already. It's a great way to stay up to date on the news every single week. We have a team of 12-ish people, about 12 people that just do phenomenal work every single week. We really appreciate them. Before I turn over to Aakash and to Alice to share what their experience has been like being on the leadership team for Onero so far, I want to introduce Lauren Tepper, who is another valued member of our team, and she will be actually moderating this session. So I'm gonna kind of turn over this role I've been taking over to her, because I'm actually on this panel too. So we're gonna swap around here. But yeah, Lauren, I'm happy to ask you to unmute and take it from here.
All right, yes, thank you. So we can continue describing the positions, I guess, with Aakash.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, great. So I joined Onero in, I think, January of this year. And before that, I used to work on the Delta. And I was only a contributor there, but I really enjoyed my time there. And as Deven said, it's a really easy way to sort of stay up to date with international affairs and everything going around the world. And then in January, I joined Delta and joined Onero as a more permanent position as their outreach coordinator. And basically, our goal was to make Onero more visible, collaborate with more organizations and build our network. And that's what we've been focusing on, promoting our events, building our network, etc. Over the course of the year. And we recently also came out with a newsletter just last month, our first edition that we've been working on for a while, just to sort of keep our audience up to date with, what Onero has been doing and what it's going to do in the future.
All right, thank you. And was it Andrew that hasn't said the description yet? The next person?
Yeah,
Or was
I
it
can.
Alice?
I can go if you would like, but Alice, if you would like to go first, it's also fine. I'll just go ahead then in that case. So for me, I run the entire organization with Elad, but one of the areas that I want to talk about today is the content and publishing side of what we do. It's a really large part of our mission and is actually basically our original function, how we envisioned it. We publish a variety of different types of content, ranging from short analytical pieces to longer research projects, really any of that written research regarding international affairs, international relations. Our goal and our idea behind doing that is that we want to empower youth voices in the field. Particularly, we want to help students who are very interested and passionate about these topics to refine their skills and to connect them with the people that will aid them in sharpening their craft, that will provide them really good feedback, that will help them gain the experience and understanding of things necessary to make the jump from academia as a student in college to the workforce. And this year we've published 13 pieces, if I remember correctly. And I think the contribution of all of the students, their hard work, all of our researchers, editors, and our outside editors, whether it be professors or think tank experts, they've all been really fantastic and invaluable to our process. And really, I think over this past year, we've built up a reputation of being able to help students, being able to help our researchers really thoroughly. And that's one of the big advantages to working with us in researching and in editing and publishing. We have a very thorough and dedicated process by which we're able to guide the students, to give them very good guidelines on how they should proceed with their research. We meet with them as often as they like, every couple of days, weekly, monthly, whatever they need to help them. And we connect them with people that have expertise in the subjects that they want to research, whether that be in Rishi's case regarding the rise of Hyderabad and the growth of the tech sector in India, or whether that be in Nikhil's case regarding the International Criminal Court. That's where we step in and we help with providing the expert connections and the expertise. And of course, we also help in the writing section, as all of us, we can become better writers. And so generally what that process might look like is a researcher or an outside contributor approaches us and says, either I have this idea of something I want to research and write, or I've already written it. And from there, we will meet with them and sort of devise a long-term plan of how we want to approach whatever they want to do. And when we'll work with them through that and basically we'll monitor their progress along the way and provide constant assistance. And when they get through, writing their entire piece or researching, then we will begin to help them with the editing process. We will connect them with the content editors, people who have lots of expertise on the topic. We will connect them with style editors who are able to refine their writing, give them all sorts of writing suggestions. And then of course, we will, help supply them with the graphics, any maps, whatever they need to help refine their piece and to make it look fantastic on our website. And that is, of course, made possible by our fantastic visual engagement team and the graphics team. And so I, of course, want to shout them out for that. And yeah, then for a lot of our researchers, this is their first time getting their work published formally on a platform online. And it's a really big deal for them, and we want to make it perfect and special just for them. And so that's what we do here with regard to the publishing. And it's a really big part, and I'm really fantastic to be a part of this.
All right, thank you. And Alice, please feel free to introduce yourself and position.
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Alice. Um, I'm doing like development stuff and fundraising for Onero right now. And I joined, I think, September of last year. And initially I was doing events before before Aakash took over. So what I do is I look for opportunities to fundraise, whether through like national grants or like individual donors and like organizational like sponsorships. And yeah, I just think it's really important to compensate our writers and editors and general staff. Yeah, and I joined because like Onero's mission really resonates with what I believe. And I just feel like it's really important, especially nowadays, to empower and engage the leaders of tomorrow, and for them to be more informed, because they'll be our future basically. So yeah. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk more about like sponsorship stuff. Yeah, later in the panel.
All right, great. And now, Elad, if you would like to describe your position and the ones you are covering for today.
Sure thing, Lauren. Thank you so much. I kind of do a little bit of everything, just like Andrew mentioned, so, running the org. But also it's been an honor to be able to kind of like set some of these different initiatives on their course. So that's why I'm going to be talking about a few different initiatives for some of our other team members who couldn't be here today. So I'm the co-executive director of the Onero Institute, but I'll be speaking specifically on the virtual engagement program, which Maggie Prim, our director of virtual engagement, it's actually her birthday today. So if you know Maggie, wish her a happy birthday. I'll be talking about that. We worked on that together. And then I helped Nick Lockery and Michael Martineau, who's our digital editor and our podcast host and digital editor, respectively, start up the Untitled podcast. I'll be speaking on that a little bit as well. And then, of course, Foreign Affairs and Future Leaders, which Felipe is our director of, or rather senior event coordinator, who you've seen a lot over the course of this summit. And he and I have been working on that together for a long time. So I'll be speaking on that as well. So thank you, Lauren, for being here with us today to ask us these questions.
All right, and why don't we just continue with you now I have some individual questions and then some questions for just the general group as we go on. So for you in the virtual engagement sector, can you describe some of the ways you have adjusted engagement during COVID, and what are your plans for for being in person?
It's a great question. I mean, so much of Onero kind of blossomed really during this online period. It really allowed us to kind of, for all the bad that was happening in the world, of course, definitely was not a good situation to be in. But one thing that came out of it is we had a lot of flexibility to do a lot of this stuff, and we're very fortunate to have had that. But with the virtual engagement program, essentially, we started this as an idea to better engage young people, because a lot of young people exist in the social media space and get a lot of their information from social media platforms. That's how they are interacting with the world. And unfortunately, for us in this age of so much information, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of less than credible sources in these spaces. And we felt that we could do better. We felt that we could bring credible sources in a creative way into new spaces that will actually help get young people interested in issues and talking about issues that are just so critical for today and for the leaders of tomorrow. And so the virtual engagement program seeks to actually teach young people who are interested in issues or who want to get interested in issues how to use Adobe Illustrator, graphic design. Very applicable, very transferable skill for really anything you want to do these days. Before I started, I did not know anything about doing it. And now a lot of the graphics you see on our website and Instagram, I made those, and I learned how to do it, through this. So I think it's a very learnable skill and very valuable skill to learn. And we've run 2 sections of the virtual engagement program now. We already have some alumni, which is really cool. So you asked about kind of what we're planning to do when we transition into in person. Well, I felt that we've done a great job engaging people in the online setting. I think as we transition to being in person, this is still going to be relevant. In fact, it's going to only be going to become more relevant because we'll have more content to share because we'll actually be together. So up to now, a lot of what we've had the virtual engagement team doing. People who graduate from the virtual engagement program, a lot of them transition onto our virtual engagement team, which is essentially working with us to create all the cool graphics that you see for the pieces. I think in some of the presentations, for example, I remember in Felipe's, because it was the last one today, he showed some graphics that were very clearly like Onero graphics that was made by our virtual engagement team. That's kind of stuff that we do. So we'll see a lot of those, but we'll also see. Oh, sorry. We'll also see more content of people and faces, and that's you're going to start to see more of us showing who Onero actually is.
Great. That's great to hear. So now also with this new podcast that was started, I'm really curious to hear the ideas behind it and the goal for it in the future.
Yeah, I think with the podcast, it's kind of, it's similar to the virtual engagement program in that it's kind of venturing into new forms of media. We kind of see ourselves as a think tank of research organization for the 21st century, built by people who are coming into the workforce in the 21st century. So we feel like we have to adapt and we have to be creative, and that's the kind of organization that we are. So the podcast is just another way that we are kind of doing things differently. We understand that all people, young people especially, but all people learn differently. And some people learn well by listening to podcasts. And some people learn well by engaging with things visually. So the podcast is another medium that we are using. And Nick loves to talk about the fact that if you don't want to sit down and read a whole paper, listen to the podcast. It's so much more fun. He's a big advocate for that. I think you should read the paper and listen to the podcast. That's just me. But the podcast is such a fun initiative. It's really great. And I think my favorite part of the podcast is the fact that, and I think for Nick, I think he would appreciate this too, is that we get to just really meet the organization. He's going through and interviewing everyone, kind of similar to what we're doing now, but on an individual basis, and getting really into the details of them, on the issues they care about, on why they're doing what they're doing. And it's really an honor for me as being someone who has the pleasure of knowing all these people to hear them kind of talk about this in a passionate way. So I think if you are excited by what Onero is doing, the podcast is certainly for you, because it just kind of speaks to everything that we're trying to accomplish here and the people who make it possible.
That's great to hear. I'm looking forward to seeing more speakers, more leaders on that podcast in the future. And so also on this topic about what's going on in the future, Andrew, what is happening in the future in terms of content?
Yeah, so as you guys probably saw over the course of the summit, there are many people who spoke and whose work is due to be published soon. So please keep an eye out for them. They work really hard on it, and we are eager to publish all of their work. And of course, as we move forward, we want to expand to cover more and more different types of publications, which we hopefully will be able to do over the next year. So as Elad mentioned, we're trying to branch out in terms of the type of stuff we offer, so we can reach all sorts of people who have different preferences for how they want to learn about these issues. People have different preferences about how they want to hear about whatever is going on in the world. And so whether that's through more multimedia approaches, through different types of text approaches, we're going to be working through a lot of different things moving forward. And that's going to be very exciting on that end. And we hope that we can get all the support for those authors and those researchers and contributors coming up in the following year.
Definitely. And so now, Aakash, I was curious as to hear your goals for the future as well, getting other schools involved and your in-person plans.
Sure. So just to touch upon what we've done in the past a little bit, I think one of our focuses has been, and Elad can speak to this more also, about collaborating with other organizations. And we're always looking for new organizations to collaborate with. So we've collaborated with SIGO, we've collaborated with, Women in International Security at GW, the DP sorority, fraternity, some specific institutes for studies at GW, like the Institute for African Studies, the Seeger Center for Asian Studies, etc. So we're always trying to build on that. As of now, all of that is still concentrated. Most of it is concentrated still at GW. We're trying to branch out more, go out to these other think tanks, other universities that have these institutes, and go to them and see that, if they can collaborate with us. So yeah, that's mostly what it is.
Got it. And so, Alice, would you like to talk more about how does Onero attract the sponsorships and donors that you were discussing earlier?
Sure. So what we do is we divide the categories into like diamond, gold, silver, and bronze. So we have different level of donors and sponsorships based on like the amount donated. And I think the highlight of our plan is that like we not only let our sponsors tap into our extensive network, but we also give them an opportunity to like collaborate with our staff, our BEP program, our researchers, and like maybe they have an idea that they would really want us to like research and like maybe host an event on. And I think that would be a fantastic opportunity for them to also leverage our existing like researchers and other staff. Yeah.
All right, great. And so I have an audience question that you could answer. Is there a place on the website for donations gifts? Is that right on the website there?
So I would really encourage everyone to check out our website's impact page, and on there you can find our donation link. And yeah, we would really appreciate any donation.
And just to build on that, we got these really nice laptop stickers. They're really cool. And for certain donations, we're going to be sending that. Stay tuned. And also, we're going to have a lot more information coming out on this in the coming weeks. So really, really appreciate anything you can give. Because we are really worried. Like Alice said, there's so many important reasons to support young people in international affairs. And we want to be able to, we're giving them not only the platform, but the means to be able to do this and to take the time. And it's a worthy mission to spend the time doing. That's what we all believe.
Yes, definitely. And so now, Deven, regarding the Delta, what differentiates in your eyes the Delta from other newsletters that other organizations may put out? And what are your plans for expansion or just in terms of being in person in the future?
Yeah, so I'll start with the last thing and go back to the beginning. So in terms of being in person, because our newsletter is, it's a collaboration of people from various colleges across the Onero network, it's unlikely that we'll be in person because the newsletter itself is online and the contributors are all going to different colleges, and during the school year, there's not really a way to meet up with people from Michigan and DC and Massachusetts all at once. But we're able to stay connected with each other through GroupMe, through Zoom meetups, and various online hangout sessions. And then when available during the summer, try to meet up in like DC, for example, or in a centralized area, which would be nice. And then with regard to the, back to the first question about how we differentiate ourselves. So the first thing is that we're, because we're a collaboration of people from different colleges, and each of us have our own special interests in political science, we're all really good at finding all the contributors from for the various regions that we cover are all very good at figuring out like not necessarily just the mainstream sources like New York Times or Washington Post, but they'll go and find region specific sources. So for example, for Asia, we have a great contributor, Josh Pope, and he will find sources not just in English but also in Mandarin Chinese or in various languages that he knows how to read, and he's able to summarize the news from there. And we're able to summarize the information in English to our reader base, but we're also able to corroborate the sources with English reporters, so people are able to read the story themselves if they want to, but they're also able to get a more primary source of what's going on. And so that might not be unique on its own, but it's unique because we're entirely student-run organization, and our reader base is also primarily students. Like 2/3 of our reader base is students in college right now, and the other third is professors or various industry professionals working at, say, think tanks or other public policy institutes or in public policy positions across the country. And so it's nice to be able to see what are young people focusing on and what do they think is the most important world news. And we're able to summarize what we think is most important and give it to people on a regular basis, not without just using like New York Times or just using Washington Post, for example.
Yes, I agree that the Delta definitely does differentiate itself from many other newsletters. Just the content that it publishes is really great. So now you mentioned that just within the Delta organization itself, you guys have a group me or you always stay in contact. So we have a question from the audience, which is there an Onero Facebook group, WhatsApp, or LinkedIn group that's just for the general community?
I can speak to that, but then I'll let Deven get back in because I know he wanted to add something else. But so we do have a LinkedIn page that I strongly recommend that you follow. We're kind of getting that together. That's part of the kind of the next frontier for Onero as far as our social media presence. As you may know, we kind of started out on Instagram. It's like our kind of home base where we do the most of our stuff. Kind of just as the kind of where a lot of young people are at. But of course, LinkedIn is probably more suitable for the kinds of things that we're doing. So we're going to be moving on to there too. Facebook we haven't done yet, but we do have a page that we will begin to be more active about. But I'd say LinkedIn is probably going to be more active than the Facebook, at least in the short term. I think, and we haven't ventured into WhatsApp yet, but that's something that would definitely be open to if you want to talk to us about that moving forward. But definitely the LinkedIn, strongly recommend following us there because that's going to be the next place that we're going to be making a lot of noise. Deven, back to you to hit on whatever you were missing.
Yeah, I've read you mentioned, you also asked about how we plan to expand in the future. I want to touch on that a little bit. So one of the things that we've been doing with the virtual engagement or with the virtual outreach team is also promoting the Delta on like Twitter and other sources. But one other thing that's associated with Onero as well is the On the Rise podcast. We have we're planning on having various contributors come on the podcast for a given week and talk about like the important events that's going on in their region and like stories to look out for. Because one of the nice things about having a weekly newsletter is you're able to get like see how the same stories develop over time. And so I know for me personally, it was interesting looking at the Israel-Hamas bombings in May and various other sources that like might have like a month-long progression, not just a week-long progression. So having particular regional contributors who like know a lot about their region and knowing what's important and what to focus on is a nice way to be more informed about the region, which could be helpful for students who are reading the newsletter so they can contribute in their own class discussions, and also for various policymakers to say like, oh, maybe I'll take a closer look at this thing because somebody who's like spent all their time on like this particular subject is saying this is an important thing that like some like major implications could arise from it. So it's helpful for both students and the reader base as a whole.
Now, for someone who wants to get involved in Onero, what would you have to say to them? What would be your advice on where to start? This can just be a general open question for anyone that wants to jump in.
I can start, but I'm realizing if any of you want to say something, just to kind of raise your hands, like I'll unmute you because I have that set that way. But yeah, I mean, I just think that the more that Onero has grown, the more different ways there are to start. Like it used to be that if you want to be in Onero, you got to write something. And now it's not that way anymore. Now it's like you can write something, you can be on the events team, you can be on the podcast team, you can just be, attending our things. You can, the sky is the limit. You could do anything really with us. You could be on the Delta team, of course, and do outreach with us. So really, I see Onero as kind of the bridge between, young, I mean, it really is the mission, the bridge between young people and like the academic and professional community, both as far as creating intergenerational dialogue, but also as kind of paving the way for a lot of young people to set out on their careers. I think this is a great way to kind of develop yourself into the most professional level of yourself you can be, alongside people who are going through the same process as you at the same time. I'm going to my senior year of college, Lauren, you're going into, I believe, your sophomore year, right? So we're all kind of in different spots, but we're still kind of making our way, figuring it out, and I think that this is a great place to do that. So I think that it's a valuable experience for anyone who wants to get involved, and really you can just kind of reach out to us and tell us how you want to do it, and we can make it happen for you, because that's the kind of work that we are. We care about young people, and we understand that with young people, you got to be flexible, and we're, ready to make that happen. So I strongly encourage any of you listening out there to please reach out to us, engage at onero.org is our email that we use, and we can't wait to be in contact with you. Aakash, go ahead.
Sure. Just something that I want to add to what Elad was saying was that the website for this is a great resource. Sometimes people are thinking that they're unsure of what they want to be involved with Onero, but they're unsure. Just take a look at that website. Everything is there. We have it all broken down in like 5, 6, 7 sections. Even the home page, it's all there. And as Elad just explained, all the sections are there. Be it If you have to do something summit related, just events related, write a project, outreach, Delta, virtual engagement, and podcast. And we're always coming up with new things. So just take a look at the website and life becomes easier. And if you're still unsure, just reach out to any one of us and we'll help you. So yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. I believe that we are now concluding this session. So first of all, thank you to all the panelists and for the opportunity to moderate this event. Hope everyone learned some more things about Onero.
Thank you so much, Lauren. And you've been doing a phenomenal job helping us with the summit. Lauren's been such a big help to us and a lot of the organization behind the scenes. She's doing such a great job, and we're very lucky to have her here. And thank you again to all my colleagues and friends that are here. Really could not do this without you. And I'm, every day I'm so thrilled to be on this journey with all of you together. And so with that, we're going to start wrapping up the summit. This is our last kind of session before we close. Some reflections. This was such a wonderful experience for me. I really enjoyed seeing all of you, seeing you right now, the people that have their videos on, and seeing everyone who everyone's names pop up who came in. It was just such a wonderful experience, and really just motivates me further. I don't know about you. I'm sure you all feel the same way, but I feel charged and motivated to do more of this and to keep pushing this mission forward. And while this summit is kind of a culmination of a lot of things for us, it's really only the first step. Andrew just mentioned a lot of the cool things we have coming up, and this summit will only serve to help that. And I hope that all of you who are listening, whether you're in here now or you're watching the recording later on, really see something that you like here and will join us for along the way. We can't wait to have you on this team, and we are just really excited to take the next steps as we set out to do some good in the world. And Andrew, I'll turn over to you if you have any other closing thoughts for us as we conclude this summit.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, I think you put it very well. And I was personally very happy to see people come and attend the events we have here and listen to all the researchers and appreciate their work. It's one thing to come to an event with an established professional, with someone famous in the policy world, and to hear their thoughts. But it's a total another thing to come to an event featuring a student researcher, someone who hasn't made their name out in the world yet, who hasn't become a big famous person in that sphere. And it really warmed my heart to see so many people coming here and putting their time here with us and listening and contributing to discussions on these issues that are interesting to young people and are the product of so much hard work and dedication from so many people, the authors, the editors, the entire Onero team. It was fantastic to see everyone coming to support us, and we really could not have done this without the support of the community. And we really hope that all of this was enjoyable to you guys, and that you guys will continue to support us as we attempt even greater and more exciting things in the future. So for me, it was a fantastic experience, and I hope that we will be able to do this again.
And we certainly will. Thank you all for being with us. This is goodbye for now, but we can't wait to see you at the very next event. And yeah, thank you all for being here. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and enjoy the rest of the summer. Take care.